Hello everyone, welcome to Sharmit. In this session, we are going to talk about another very important topic related to template driven form, where mainly we will figure out what is exactly the term ngModelGroup. So by the end of this session, we will be able to understand what is ngModelGroup, why do we use it, what are the benefits, and overall introduction related to ngModelGroup. But before we proceed further with this session, I would like to recommend you to please go and check out the previously released sessions first, because they all are in proper sequence and sync. So if you follow it sequentially, then it would be much more easier for you to understand the ongoing topic. Because for time being, we are just mainly focusing on how to use what is ngModelGroup. But prior to that, you should know what is template driven form, why do we create form, how to create form, and all other basic stuff that we have covered so far. Okay, and for these all sessions you can refer the Sharmit digital course book, which is freely available in the description box. So there you will find more than 3000 plus free resources available in both Hindi as well as English language. So as per your convenience, you can go through it and learn the content. Okay, alright, so now let's get started. Here you can see we are firstly I have noted down one main heading that shows Angular course by Sharmit. Then we have second heading that shows template driven form in Angular for ngModelGroup introduction. And here I have noted down the things in a very simple way. So I'm assuming that some of you are preparing for interviews or exams. So these notes will be helpful for you to answer the question during your interviews and exam. So you can utilize it for your revision purpose and for the notes purpose. Okay. All right. So let's start from the definition itself, like what is ngModelGroup. So if someone asks you what is ngModelGroup, so you can simply explain it in a one single line definition, that is ngModelGroup is an Angular directive used in template driven form to group related form controls into a logical unit and create nested form data structure. So this is the exact definition. Let's go step by step. ngModelGroup is a directive used in template driven forms to group related form controls into a logical unit, and also it create nested form data structure. Okay, now to explain this thing in a very simple way, I have noted down these pointers. So let's go one by one each pointer to understand it in detail. So first thing it shows, ngModelGroup is an Angular directive used in template driven form. So remember one thing, this is related to template driven form also only, not for the reactive forms. Okay. Second thing it says, it is used to group related form controls like import, select, text areas under a single logical unit. So whenever you want to group the form controls into a single logical unit like import, selects, and text areas, then in that case you will utilize this ngModelGroup. Clear? Third thing is, ngModelGroup help us organize form fields that belongs together, such as address detail, personal information, and bank detail. So these are the three things. Now let's take one simple example so that you can relate it in an easy way. So just assume you are filling one exam form and there you have requested for multiple detail, but you will find there are some section that shows a particular category. For example, if you are keying in your address related details like city, state, pin code, country, right? So these all things comes under a address category, and that section will belong to address, right? Likewise, if someone has asked you for the input fields like name, date of birth, right? So these all things comes under a personal detail, or maybe we can add a separate thing for contact detail like mobile number, email address, right? So these all things under a contact detail category. Likewise, if someone has asked you for IFSC code, account number, bank detail, bank name, so these all things comes under a bank detail. So likewise, we have multiple categories and sections in a form. So these things can be organized with the help of ngModelGroup. Okay, so like whenever you want to put all correlated fields into a single category, then in that case you want to build a group, then we will use the ngModelGroup. That will help us to achieve this. Okay, next point is, it creates a nested structure inside the forms data model instead of keeping all values at the same level. Okay, so it basically creates a nested structure inside the forms data model, and it is not instead of keeping all the values at the same level. So there is no, all values are not at the same level, but in a nested form structure. Also, ngModelGroup does not create a new form. So make it very clear. Sometime in the interview they might ask you like, will it create a new form? So you can simply say no, it is not creating a new form, but it acts as a subsection of an existing form. So basically it acts as a subsection for the existing form. Fine. Then we have fifth point, all form controls inside a model ngModelGroup are treated as a child control of that group. Yes, that is true, because now we have hierarchy. So all the form controls inside an ngModelGroup are treated as a child controls of that group. Then we have sixth point, that the group automatically tracks the combined state of its child control. Yes, it automatically tracks the states like valid, invalid, touched, untouched, dirty, pristine. So that is why, like I mentioned in the early in the beginning of the session, like if you haven't watched these things in previous sessions, then you should go first through these states so that you can relate it. Okay, valid, invalid is a state when it got trigger and all the required thing that we covered already, right? Because for now we are just assuming that you know about these state, and we are giving this a statement that the group automatically tracks the combined state of its child control. Clear? Next point, seventh point, tell us if any control inside a group is invalid. If any of the control is invalid, then the entire group become the invalid. Okay, in that case entire group will become the invalid. In the similar way, ngModelGroups work only with template driven form and cannot be used in reactive form. So always remember this very important point, that it only works with a template driven form, not with the reactive forms. Ninth point says it is applied to a container like div and field set. So whenever you want to apply it to a form, always make sure to include a container like div and field set, not directly to the input element. So we are not supposed to write ngModelGroup directly to the input fields. We have to add one container like div, and then there we can utilize it. Here. Then we have 10th point. Each control inside the group must still use ngModel and a unique name attribute. This is very important line, that always include these two mandatory things for each field, that is ngModel and a unique name attribute. Without this you are not supposed to group the things together. Okay. Then we have 11th point that tells the grouped data is returned as a nested object when the form is created. That is very important question. Sometimes they will ask you in the interview like what type of data it will return when we have grouped the things. So you can simply say it returns a simple nested it returns a nested object, and then we will get this thing, okay, in the forms of object. Later on we have 12th point, that is just to tell you that why it is what all things are there which makes it which becomes easier when we are using the nested structure. So this nested structure makes it easier to manage complex form. Yes, if you are dealing with a complex form, then you can create a sections and it will help you to manage the complex form easily. Also, for apply group level validation, if you want to apply group level validation at a time, then in that case it will be helpful for you. Later on we have next point, that is style selections of the form. Yes. And last point is send structured data to API. So if you want to send the structured data to API, then also the nested structure will help you to do the things. Clear? So these are the all pointers which we learned in this session are very useful to understand what is an ngModelGroup. If this thing is clear, then maybe we are good to move ahead with new topics related to ngModelGroup, and one by one firstly we will cover all those theoretical points that is useful for cracking the interviews and exam, and later on for each point, for each concept, we will create a separate example to understand it in a simple way. Clear? So yeah, that's all for today. See you in the next session with new topics. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmit.